Alright, these notes are about how to distribute. So distribute, you need a calculator, make sure you have it handy. Make sure you write this down. And one thing that you're going to hear me say in this note video, that you're going to hear me say all year, it's going to get sick and tired, I'm sure, is you're going to hear this phrase. And I want you to write it down. Side by side. Side by side means multiplied. This little thing I'm going to say all the time. Side by side means multiplied. What I mean by that is if I had 2 plus x, that's obviously adding, right? But if I had 2x, if they are side by side, that means 2 times x because they're right next to each other. So side by side means multiplied, and you need to know that for how to distribute. Okay? So, go ahead and write down this first problem. And the work that I'm going to show is the same work that I'm going to expect you to do on your assignment. So 3 parentheses 2x plus 1, and then you close it. Okay? Our whole goal is we want to get rid of these parentheses, alright? And I'll kind of show you why later, but we're going to distribute. So remember, this 3 is right beside this parenthesis, right? It's side by side. So side by side means we're going to multiply it. So here's how I want you to write it. We're going to multiply the 3 to the 2 and to the 1. And here's how I want you to draw it. Go ahead and draw a little arrow from the 3 to the 2 and from the 3 to the 1. Okay? So these are called distribution arrows. It means you're going to distribute. All it means is you're going to multiply. So what is 3 times 2? Well, hopefully you know, but if, for example, you don't, you use your calculator. 3 times 2 is just 6. So 3 times 2 is 6. And then I just bring my x down. Okay? And then 3 times a positive 1, that's plus 1, right? So 3 times positive 1, which yet again we should know, but if we don't, is a positive 3. Since it's positive, I'm going to put plus 3. If it was negative, I would have put minus 3. And that's it. That's all you're doing. It's very simple. Okay? If you're confused, pause the video, stop me, let me go over it. Number 2, go ahead and write this down. Negative 2 parenthesis n plus 4. Close it. Alright? So we're going to do the same thing. Side by side means multiplied. However, there's no number here. So if you remember from the combined like terms note video, if there is no number, the number is 1. So go ahead and put a 1 in there. And then draw your what I call distribution arrows. Okay? Like that. All we're going to do is multiply. Negative 2 times 1. We'll get our calculator out. Remember, negative is down here. So negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. So I bring down negative 2 and then write my n. And then put negative 2 times positive 4. So negative 2 times a regular 4 is negative 8. So go ahead and put minus 8. Alright? And that's it. Just box it up. All you're doing is multiplying. Just be very careful with your positives and negatives. A lot of kids will put this plus down here because they see it, but make sure you multiply first before you write anything down. Alright? Number 3. Write it down. Go ahead and do this. 6 parenthesis 3 minus 4w. Close it. We're going to do the same thing. So we're just going to draw our arrows, which you can't really see here. 6 times 3, I'm just going to tell you, you should know, but if not, use your calculator. 6 times 3 is just 18. And there's not any letter here, so we just leave it alone. And then do 6 times negative 4, because that's not a positive 4, it's a negative 4, essentially. Even though I know it's minus, it's the same thing. So 6 times negative 4. So calculator, 6 times, and negative's down here, negative 4 is negative 24. So I put negative 24 or minus 24, it's the same thing. And then we just bring down the w. Okay? Very simple, very easy. Okay? Next one, number 4. This one's a little tricky, but this is very important. If I were to put a star by 1, this is one I put it by, because they're going to do this on your star test and you're going to kind of forget, so we're going to talk about it. Negative, but there's no number here. So remember, if there is no number, what's the number? And the number is 1, right? And then you just distribute that negative 1. Okay? So negative 1 times 9, positive 9. So negative 1 times 9 is negative 9. So I do negative 9, and then I write down my y. And I'm just going to let you know, -1 times +3. You could do the calculator, but it's just -3. And then you bring your x down. Remember, you can't combine these things because they're different. One's a y, one's an x. You can't actually combine them. That's all you have to do. Okay? Simple. Last one, number 5. You're really not going to see these very often, at least not right now. You'll see them more around December or January, maybe February. But go ahead and write it down. 4 parentheses 3x squared plus 7x plus 2. This looks very intimidating. It looks very hard, but it's not. It's very easy. Same thing. The 4 is right beside the parentheses, and side by side means multiplied. So all we're going to do is multiply. So you're going to draw arrows to each of those numbers, and all we're going to do is multiply. And you can use your calculator, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you. 4 times a +3 is just a +12. Okay? And then this x squared stuff just comes down. 4 times a +7 is a +28. And this x comes down. 4 times a +2 is just a +8. And there is no x, so it just stays there. Okay? So that's how you do it. All you're doing is multiplying numbers. Like 3rd grade multiplication, you have a calculator here for you. All you're doing is multiplying. And that's distribution. We're going to begin it here, but it's going to go into everything that we've been talking about. So make sure you understand the concept before we move on. If you have questions, please let me know.